Hello, I'm Tim Smith, and welcome to another Monuments Monday. And again, we're going to be talking about the monuments, markers, and tablets in the town of Gettysburg. And today, we're going to talk a little bit about the Pennsylvania Historic and Museum Commissioned tablets. I wanted to mention that in our last video that we did on the monuments, markers, and tablets in the town, we covered the Pennsylvania Keystone markers. And I showed 4 of those markers on different roads entering the town. And sure enough, one of our viewers sent in an image of a 5th marker that used to be there along the Chambersburg Pike that's no longer there. So there you go, and we always love that sort of input from our viewers. The Pennsylvania Historic and Museum Commission tablets. There are 11 of those in the borough that I just wanted to discuss. And a little bit of background. It was 1913 that the Pennsylvania Historical Commission was established. And one of its major responsibilities was the marking of historic places within the Commonwealth. During the first 20 years of its existence, nearly 150 commemorative plaques were erected, usually being affixed to large boulders. And there's one of those early ones in Adams County to Hans Steelman. And that was established or dedicated in 1924. In 1945, the Historical Commission, the State Archives, and the State Museum were all united to form the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission. And a major initiative of that new commission was the creation of a program to erect historical markers with a modified design around the state of Pennsylvania. By 1948, 700 of those markers had been installed. The markers at that time were emblazoned with bright gold letters on a background of blue, the state colors, and topped by a coat of arms of the Commonwealth mounted on a sturdy metal post. They present history to the public in an understandable manner. And like we say, we have a bunch of these around the state. Currently, there are 2,500 of these markers in the state of Pennsylvania. There are currently 47 of these markers listed on a website of the Museum Commission, and we're going to provide a link in the description here to that website so that you can look and see where all these markers are in Adams County and the state of Pennsylvania. But 47 in Adams County, and currently 3 of those markers are listed as missing. The earliest markers in Adams County date from 1947, and the latest marker in our county was placed here in 2021. There were 5 placed in October of 1947. And as I just said, there are 11 of them in the town of Gettysburg for our count. So getting back to our count of monuments, markers, and tablets, number 28, the Gettysburg Address. And this marker is on the Baltimore Turnpike, or Baltimore Street, across from the National Cemetery where Abraham Lincoln gave the famous Gettysburg Address, and it was dedicated, according to the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission, December 12, 1947. And it talks about the spot where Abraham Lincoln delivered the address. There's actually a second marker on the Taneytown Road, but that doesn't make our list, because technically that's in Cumberland Township, Adams County. Number 29, the Dobbin House, which I found an article in the newspaper, was actually dedicated in October of 1947, and it was one of the first markers erected in Adams County. And of course, this marker highlights the Dobbin House, built by the Reverend Alexander Dobbin in 1776. And interestingly enough, the text on that marker actually refers to it is now a museum refurnished in keeping with the early period. I find that interesting because most of the markers have language on them that doesn't tie you to a certain date. But John Lippy had opened the Dobbin House Museum in 1941, and it later, in 1955, became the Gettysburg Dobbin House Diorama. But that was put there in 1947. Number 30, the Lincoln Cemetery on Long Lane. And that marker was dedicated in 2003, and it honors the cemetery that was established for Gettysburg's black citizens and Gettysburg's USCTs that was established in 1867. Number 31, the Adams County marker for the establishment of Adams County, and that marker was dedicated in 1982 on Baltimore Street in front of our courthouse. And of course, it gives you the date that Adams County was formed, January 22nd, 1800, and it talks about how our county is named after John Adams. Number 32, the Wills House, which was dedicated on November 19th, 1949. And it, of course, commemorates the site where Abraham Lincoln spent the night before he gave the famous Gettysburg Address on November 19th. Number 33, the Old Courthouse. This marker was dedicated on November 6th, 1982, in the square of Gettysburg, and of course it commemorates the fact that the original courthouse in Adams County, built in 1804, was in the center of our town, and it stood there until 1859, when it was removed and of course rebuilt on Baltimore Street. Number 34, Gettis Crossroad and Tavern, dedicated in 1954. This marker on York Street commemorates the fact that Samuel Gettis had a tavern at an intersection in our town early on, and this intersection actually eventually evolved into the town of Gettysburg. Number 35, Thaddius Stevens, which was dedicated in 1954 along Chambersburg Street. And of course, this marker honors the fact that Thaddius Stevens lived in our town. He came here in the fall of 1816. He lived here until 1842, when he moved to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Of course, the original building at 51 Chambersburg Street was torn down in 1927. but the marker is actually at the spot where his home was for the time he lived in Gettysburg. Number 36, Dwight David Eisenhower. And this marker is along North Washington Street, and it actually marks one of the places that he lived in Gettysburg while he was here during the spring and summer of 1918 in charge of Camp Colt as an Army captain. Number 37, Daniel Alexander Payne, dedicated in 1991 along North Washington Street on the Gettysburg College campus. And it actually honors a free Black American born in South Carolina who attended the Gettysburg Lutheran Seminary, and in 1837, actually, while student at the seminary, was a teacher here and gave some instruction to our local black community. He was eventually elected bishop of the AME Church in 1852 and was president of Wilberforce University in Ohio. Number 38, and of course we're standing near it, Eddie Plank along Carlisle Street in Gettysburg. And he was one of the most dominant left-handed pitchers of his time. And of course, he's a member of the Baseball Hall of Fame and was born not far from Gettysburg, played for Gettysburg College, and of course the markers on Gettysburg College, and eventually lived here on Carlisle Street and died in 1926 in a building right near where the marker is. I remember when this marker was placed, there was talk about it. You might see on the marker, it says he was born here. There was talk about putting this marker at his birthplace, which is about 4 miles north of Gettysburg along the Harrisburg Road, but eventually is moved to this location, and I think a lot more people see it here in the context of Gettysburg. So there are 11 markers in the town associated with the Pennsylvania Historic and Museum Commission, and they're well marked around town. And again, there's a website so you can look on it to see if there are markers in the area where you live also. So if you like the content we put on our YouTube channel, please like and subscribe.